Welcome back to the course on effective leadership. For leaders, the PDCA is crucial for you to be able to plan, coordinate, and control your processes, which are the functions of management. As a leader, you'll be expected to improve your results over time. I think the situation is very rare when you are in a leadership role that only expects maintenance, although it does happen especially for more supervisory positions. Therefore, your focus as a manager and leader will be to run these processes with your team, conduct the stage of generating ideas and hypotheses, decide which one will be implemented, and of course monitor the execution and learning. Therefore, your specific goal here will be much more to learn these processes of ideation and implementation, since running them is already part of your leader's routine. Included in the PDCA cycle as one of the most important management concepts, I would also like to mention the functions of management, because then it becomes easier for you to understand how to fit the Deming cycle in it. Hit thumbs up if you want more content related to leadership. Make sure you have subscribed to the channel too. Hello there everyone! In the previous class we talked about the PDCA cycle, which is crucial for you to be able to plan, direct and control your process. Remember, the PDCA cycle consists of 4 parts: plan, do, check and act. Through it, people and organizations are able to create standard stages of their projects, adapt them to the reality, execute them, and improve the results for the next version. So, what are the functions of management? We need to understand that a huge chunk of a manager's routines involves, of course, in addition to those tasks mentioned in the first lesson, to plan, to organize, to execute, and to control. These steps involve any execution of any specific project or process. Planning is a stage, of course, in which you reflect your goals, much like planning in the PDCA cycle. Organizing, on the other hand, has to do with moving and assigning resources necessary for the plan to be carried on. We are talking about physical goods, but also financial resources and personnel, and time to make it more evident. We learn in business school that after planning and before action, there is a period during which we plan how the tasks should be done to meet our schedule. At least in theory, it works. When we learn these management concepts for leaders, we see that we have to make this happen. It won't happen spontaneously. Now, when we really talk about the role of leading and managing people, we talk about executing or also directing. Here, we are mentioning the actual delivery of what was in the plan. Note that some versions that teach about the functions of management mention directing, because they emphasize the role of the manager in managing from afar almost. But I like to put emphasis, as with many other authors, that you focus here is not on directing, but ensuring delivery. Although it can be practically the same thing. It can also have several implications, but I'm not going to go into that much now. Finally, we have controlling, which involves analysis of metrics, reworking, iteration, and learning. You, as an administrator, must ensure that the execution is achieving the desired effects. So there is a great emphasis on tracking numbers. So, how to ensure that the PDCA cycle happens in all projects? The best way for you to guarantee that the PDCA cycle happens in all projects and processes is to make sure that there is a closing process. Just to give a quick example, I see that a group perception that something went wrong or something went well is the best way to push people into action, ensuring that the error is avoided in the next iteration or that improvements is fully integrated into our daily routine. After this moment of closure of this chain of processes in the functions of management, When the tensions are raised, you as a leader should delegate tasks to your direct reports so that they are empowered to integrate the improvements into the process. From there, after around 3 improvement projects are implemented, you start to have this PDCA cycle occurring in a more natural way. As a second step, I would recommend introducing the full theory in a more robust way, so people feel even more empowered to execute the improvement cycle. That is why it's vital to learn about management concepts for leaders. Here's what happens. In my experience, when we introduce a concept or theory abruptly, it tends to be somewhat dismissed or it faces resistance. Therefore, I prefer to introduce it silently to test acceptance and to understand the possible resistances, and then present it as a project. Of course, this is how it works for me in general. It's worth checking how it will be with your specific team. Why talk about management concepts for leaders? Cool, did it make sense so far? Can you draw the parallels here? It's not uncommon to see the PDCA cycle, albeit erroneously, being used to refer to functions of management. For a while, I also used the two interchangeably, and that's okay. The focus of this lesson was on you understanding how the functions of management are structured at the most basic level. In the end, the functions of management as essential management concepts for leaders refer to the routine of the administrator or manager. The PDCA cycle is used and was created to improve processes continuously. Although the two have many similar practical uses, it is important to distinguish the purpose of each. While you have to implement the PDCA cycle, the functions of management simply exist. Although, of course, you can follow them in a more or less structured and planned way. The goal and greater focus of you on you learning a part of this theory was for you as a leader to understand better your role as a manager, which exists and is inherent in all leadership roles. No one is hired as a team coordinator just to be the motivator. You have to be an administrator as well. That is why I reject this dichotomous comparison to some degree. This concept is not applied in one single day. It's not scheduled, but it's very useful to make you reflect on how you are dividing your time. The greatest insight you can have is, as a leader, to make sure you are paying attention to all areas. Depending on the author you follow, you have different ways for each function. In his book, High Output Management, Andy Grove, the Intel's former CEO, shares his day schedule, like 1 day schedule, and it is divided into 3 hours for information gathering, 2 hours for disseminating information, and 3 hours for decision making. These are the terms that he uses throughout his book. For him, more important than how you do the division is the weight, which he calls leverage, that your decisions have. That is the impact of them on your work. In his book, 4 Hours Work Week, Tim Ferriss states that we shouldn't necessarily be concerned with time management, but with maximizing the output. That is, for him, it's no use working more efficiently if you are doing things with low impact on your return. Very similar to what Andy Grove says. How about that? Better than that, just twice that. So to recap what we saw in this lesson, well, we learned about the PDCA cycle and the functions of management. The functions are plan, organize, execute, and control. They refer to the routine of any business and leadership and management of people and projects. The PDCA cycle is a method created to improve processes. With its application, you can make small improvements over time to increase the efficiency or effectiveness of a process project or department. So you don't worry about making big improvement projects, but you get better step by step. Your role as a manager is to understand how your team's functions of management are structured and to conduct these improvement processes. As I said, rarely is a manager hired just to monitor and not promote any change or improve the results. For that, knowing the application of the PDCA cycle will be essential. In the next lesson on effective communication, the topic will be the biggest communication mistakes between leaders and their direct reports. And I will present the diagram of communication to you, a visual way to understand and improve your communication with people. Make sure you are subscribed to my channel to follow the lessons, like this content if you think it has helped you, and share it with your colleagues and coworkers. Always look both ways. See you in the future.